Of course, what is abortion? From the inception to the present, they target white women. They're advertising everywhere you go. The primary target, in my opinion, is white women, white people. Now, that doesn't mean that non-white people could not be collateral damage, if you will. It depends on where you're coming from on the matter. So people will talk about how black women have more abortions than anybody else. Well, that's their decision. But you look back at all of the original and all the way up to the current day, the propaganda, where are they aiming? And it's much more powerful to aim this propaganda at white women by depicting the joy of single life, of foregoing motherhood, and postponing motherhood, and that usually results in foregoing motherhood altogether. And how do you forego motherhood? How do you have this childless, wonderful, right, life of just lechery and licentiousness and consumerism? Well, you have this backup, this plan B in every case. If it goes wrong, all of your whoring around goes wrong, and you end up getting pregnant, you can just go to the abortion mill. They don't want white girls, like teens, and then white women, 18, 19, 20 and up. They don't want them to not be whores. That's what they don't want. They want them foregoing marriage. They want them foregoing childbearing. They want them foregoing producing a strong family with a strong white male. They want them foregoing all of that. And one of the ways you enable them to forego that is to allow them to get on their back for as many men as they can. There are wide swaths of women. Of course, men are going to want to have sex. That has always been the case, for God's sake. Women hold the keys. If they say, and if society says, and they teach the women, they teach the girls, marriage or whatever, however you want to work it out, and then you get the goods. You prevent a woman, you prevent a white girl from being a whore then. You also do other things, like you prevent the spread of STDs. You prevent the spread of babies out of wedlock. Look at what the anti-whites did in every single country. You go to all of the communist countries, the satellite countries, the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. It's the same playbook for these demons from hell. They show up and they say, well, look, we're looking at the data here, and this is the percentage of babies out of wedlock, almost zero. And this is the percentage of premarital sex, almost zero. And this is the percentage of STDs, almost zero. And they say, you know what? We have to remedy this by getting to your little white children and telling them not only about their own bodies, but about the bodies of the other sex, that until they learned about their bodies, they had no interest in them, none whatsoever. But then suddenly, when they learn about the other bodies, they think, oh, something has turned on genetically. The way this happens in the wild, when we maybe lived in a more primitive state, is that, and we were dying at 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 years of age. That was old. 25, old. You had to reproduce quickly. Was that the children would see sex, and then genetically it would get turned on. That's what you're going to do. You get fixated on this reproduction so the genes can continue, because you're going to be dead in 10 more years. So it's got to happen now. The only way to get that to turn on in white children in Western civilization is to get to them. And what parent would go to, say, like a little boy, and say, this is and then start describing the girl's parts, and this is, and then start describing their parts, and then go into the conversation of how that becomes babies. You would be a deranged as all hell to do that, or just stupid because you don't realize that it's going to turn on the desire. So what happened? I mean, we don't have to debate, right? We don't have to debate because we have the evidence everywhere. Everywhere that's implemented, STDs, stratospheric. Premarital sex, stratospheric. Babies out of wedlock, stratospheric. So they need to keep the baby killing going, because white girls will say to themselves, and I'm concerned with our white girls of our race. They're going to say to themselves, well, wait a second. This like last wall of defense that enables me to be a whore, that's now gone. So if I can't get my parents to get me on birth control, and I can't, and the condom fails, or whatever other prophylactic they're using, then I'm with child. And then that will curb some of the whoring. And the anti-whites can't have that on multiple levels.